All right, it's Talking Business on Independent Television, and today we're looking at the banking sector. I have with me here an ex-banker, Olatunji Badru. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
But before we go into the banking sector, now, in the course of business roundup, we discovered that Nigeria Bureau of Statistics revealed that the Nigeria's gross domestic product grew by 2.25% in the fourth quarter of 2019. What's your take on that?
It's a good development. It is a welcome development that is a sign that we are actually moving forward. When you look at the recession we had in 2016, where all the figures were negative throughout. But now, we are not talking of increase like that. But when you look at it deeply, you go to the components that made up that figure. If you look at our foreign reserves, it was, as at December 2018, it was $41.5 billion. But now, as at December 2019, it's now $38.07 billion. Okay. So the thing has reduced by over $3 billion. So that is something we should be worried about. Then the inflation rate has been persistently on the increase. It's increasing. And if we look at the oil sector, the growth is very marginal. But if we also look at investment, most capital that enter were through the foreign capital that we had. It was for purchase of shares, okay, to finance some projects here and there. So, looking at the importation, our expenditure has always the expected what they budgeted for the expenditure is higher, far higher than the amount they budgeted. Whereas the income is just very low. The income they got during this period of that review,
revenue was sitting poorly,
while the expenditure very high, above the estimated expenditure. They got something far above it, whereas the income, about 52% of the income was attained. So there is deficit budgeting, deficit financing. So when you look at it critically, you see that it's not what we should be happy about. Rather, there should be more effort
to be put in
the economy.
Okay, now let's go into our discussion for today proper, and which is the banking sector. It seems like the National Assembly in recent time has really had it for the banking sector. I don't know if that's what you would say also, because the House of Rep is lamenting charges on accounts, okay, and is moving to probe the banks.
Yes.
Now, this issue of charges on accounts has been for quite a while. We know of SMS charge when they send you SMS alert. We know about the charge that is there, card maintenance charge, and so many other charges, account maintenance charge, even on savings.
Bill payment, e-channel payment, electronic transfers.
All these charges, we have so much charges on accounts.
You know, there's no way, and there's no bank in the world outside Nigeria that they don't make charges. But what Nigerians are worried about, the excessiveness of the charges. The charges are excessive. But I'm of the personal opinion that the decision of the House of Rep and the Senate one is okay. We will examine that of the Senate.
Okay, let's deal with the
House of Rep. I think their decision to probe the banks because of their charges appears to be belated. Why do I say so? The last time the CBN intervened in terms of reducing charges by commercial banks and non-financial institutions was in May 2017. But now, they have intervened, taking effect from 1st of January 2020. What did they do? They now say that now, account maintenance charge is already on a correct account. Or any person operating correct account, you must pay account maintenance charge, and you will also pay for, apart from account maintenance charge, there's another thing, card maintenance charge. You pay for card maintenance charge, but now they said there will be nothing like a card maintenance charge for correct account.
Okay.
That of service, this service, there will be charges. It's no longer per month, it will not be per quarter, every 3 months.
Every 3 months.
Then that of electronic transfer, they now
Okay, let's get it straight now. The charges that will be for
effective from 1st January to 2020.
It will be quarterly for, is it card maintenance?
For
that of savings.
Service to be card maintenance and to be part every 3 months.
Okay, to be every
which
3
used to be every month.
Okay.
So and only 50 naira.
Okay.
Now, then that of electronic transfer, if you are making any electronic transfer, if it is 5,000 and below, you are now only going to pay 10 naira. Whereas before now, it's 50 naira. Then if it is 5,001 naira to 50,000, you are now to pay 25 naira.
Okay.
And which is to be far more than that, about 65 naira. Now, if it is 50,000 and above, you are not to pay just 50 naira.
Okay, so it depends on how much you're transferring.
So you can see the reason why banks are retrenching. Which, you see now, because what they are getting now, it has been reduced drastically. As we continue to go forward, I will tell you, you see that the charges have been reduced by Central Bank extensively.
Okay, now let's address the first charge, which you mentioned, that of the card maintenance for savings account, which now comes once in 3 months.
3 months.
That's already been implemented.
And to make sure that this thing is not theoretical, not paper tagger.
Exactly.
They have now set up a new department in CBN. They call it Accountability, Responsibility and Sanction Regime Department. That any bank that violates, that go outside this measure, this reduced charges, will be sanctioned. They will investigate it. Any bank that is involved in excessive charge against this regime, or any sharp practice or illegal charges, the customer should complain to this department of CBN, which they are in every state capital where you have a CBN.
Okay.
You have to report, and they will investigate, and the bank will be sanctioned heavily right now.
Okay.
That is Accountability, Responsibility and Sanction Department. It's a new department.
Okay.
It's CBN.
But still on
so House of Rep are not so that is why I said the action is somehow belated, because CBN is making effort and they want to enforce it.
But with the House,
for example, in the foreign currency domicile account before, if you are having a card denominated in dollars.
We will get to that.
Okay.
Let's be done with the charges. Now, if the House of Rep is coming into it, don't you think it will make the supervision of the activities of banks, more effective? If you leave everything to CBN, do you think that the issue will be handled quickly or handled thoroughly? But if you have the House of Rep probing and even talking about it, doesn't it make the issue handled quickly?
I agree. It will bring about awareness. It will make the banks to sit up.
Okay.
Most of the actions of House of Rep and Senate, they are somehow what we call persuasive.
Okay.
They don't really have power to enforce. If after the recommendation to the House and it is adopted, it will be a form of a motion. A motion is more or less like a moral suasion. A motion is not a law.
Okay.
Unless you go to the extent of making a law to effect it. Because the House of Rep, they are not executive arm government who are to execute. They are to make laws and to make recommendations. They don't have the power to enforce the law. It's the executive that will enforce the law, and the judiciary will interpret the law.
Okay. Now, still on implementation, we're not done with that issue yet. You made mention that the banks are supposed to comply with it, which is you deduct account maintenance charge once in 3 months from savings accounts. But
and they have also reduced it.
Yes, that's
before now, when you go to a bank, the bank that does not belong to you are not another bank.
You pay
65 naira.
You pay more when you're transferred.
But now, if you want, you take your ATM there, you withdraw now. Unless you withdraw 3 times in a month,
before you begin to pay,
you have to pay
old rates.
You pay 35 naira now. No more 65
naira. Okay, that I've seen also is working. But on the account maintenance charge, we still get that monthly deductions.
Account maintenance.
So who has the responsibility of ensuring that there's strict compliance?
Account maintenance charge now.
Deposit banks.
Correct account is to be, will still be paying monthly.
I'm talking about savings
The
accounts.
service is per quarter.
But we don't have all banks complying with that right now.
Then any person affected should report.
Okay.
Should report to
The central bank.
the central bank. Accountability, responsibility, and sanction department.
Okay.
A new department has been set up. The new business this time around.
Okay. Now, let's move over to the Senate, where the Senate intends to investigate banks over remittance of tax revenues. And this has to do with withholding tax.
Yes.
Now, the motion that was sponsored by Senator Uche Ekwunife of PDP.
Anambra Central.
Yes. Disclosed that security and clearing system and banks in Nigeria do not remit withholding tax. Now, she actually explained further by saying that withholding tax is one of the major revenue of state governments, especially, but they have no track on how much they are supposed to get. Let's look at withholding tax in Nigeria.
Yes, withholding tax in Nigeria is really a veritable source of income to government, especially the state government, because the withholding tax on withholding, when you have a deposit, there's an amount you are going to pay as a withholding tax on that deposit, particularly when there's interest. When they apply interest, there will be a percentage that will go to the state government.
Okay.
But the problem the state government is having now is that there's no way they can monitor the banks. They don't have the information technology to be able to track the earnings. So the bank now, they give out whatever they like to give out. There's under remittance. Okay. And at times there's no remittance at all. So they are making so much money. This is billions of naira we are talking about.
Yes.
So the woman is saying now that there's need for information technology or a task solution that to be able to track, monitor the government, I mean the banks. So as they are charging the money, automatically the money is going to a central post, an account that the state government will be able to monitor it and get the money. But most banks now, some of the banks now, they don't pay at all. Then when they know that it's becoming too long, they will just send 1 million, some few millions to.
So it's more or less at their discretion.
At their discretion. But she is now submitting that there should be a task force, there should be a setup whereby this payment, these revenues can be monitored and make sure that the governments are getting. Because if the government are able to get it, they'll be able to pay salary, do other things, and that is a very reliable source of income, which the state government, they need to have a strategy of looking into this issue of under remittance or non-remittance.
Okay. Now, when you were talking about
and this also it's not only banks, so the CSS, Central Security and Central Clearing System.
Yes.
They are also involved because they are in charge of these dividends. If you have if you get your dividend, you will see withholding tax. Okay. A percentage of the withholding tax. Deducted. But these people are not. They are not remitting it. This institution, they are not remitting because there is no proper monitoring.
So that's fraud in itself.
Yes. That's this is a central clearing system.
Okay. Now, while you were talking about charges on account, you made mention that the banks are not getting as much as they used to, and that's why they're retrenching staff. But if they are not remitting what they should, it then means that they are keeping back some money, and then they still have money. Yes. If you go to the banks recently, especially beginning from January, you discover that most old staff, especially that you used to see, are no longer there. Even the staff strength has greatly reduced drastically, which has also dropped the quality of service that they render. How do you think in the long run this will affect the banking system?
It's bound to affect the banking system because if now when you go to the bank, you have to now, when you are supposed to spend 10 minutes or 20 minutes, you discover that you are spending 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and some of them, they will not know what to do. They will now be calling for the remaining old staff. Please tell me. I'm talking from experience.
I was experience.
They don't know what to do.
It wasn't funny.
It's funny. So when you now look at it, the cost benefit of this action of the bank, it will have a negative effect on the bank. They are trying to reduce cost in terms of salary payment and others, but it will have a multiplier effect. The quality of service will reduce, and people who have been retrenched will be affected. They have wives and husbands, wives, and they have children. They are now jobless. So it will now bring about the social security system in Nigeria is almost zero. So, and it's unexpected. It was sudden. In January, some of these banks, they just sacked. We have friends there. They are now at home because the bank want to reduce cost. And when they are looking at cost, they look at staff. But there are other areas of cost they ought to look at. But the first thing, they say the grass always suffer. Otherwise, other excesses, other areas they are spending unnecessarily, they can curtail that one and still have quality staff. But now go to most of the banks.
What do you think the bank is spending unnecessarily?
There are so many areas. Because if you look at some of these banks now, most of these contract staff we are talking about, most of these contract staff, they are organizations. There are organizations that employ them, though they are bankers, but they are not permanent staff as such.
Okay.
And the organizations that employ them, most of the owners, they are also owners of banks. And because of that, the money they're supposed to get, the people employed supposed to get, it is shared. Some go to the employer, or the contract recruitment company, they get here, they get little. So it has economic effect.
Okay.
They are not get, and if the economic effect that if a staff in the bank is not well paid, he will not be able to put in the best. And if he's not well brought up, he will not be looking at money to tamper with the customer's money.
Okay.
So the banker ought to be well paid so that he can be able to deliver. Even though you don't have 2,000 naira in your pocket, you are handling 100 million, 50 million in a day. You'll be able to do it. You'll be able to do it without, you'll be happy because you know you'll be well paid. Or if you need any advance, you get advance easily. So the idea of now hasn't there to go. The idea now of bringing in new people who don't, your president, they say, I don't know. I went to a bank, I want to get a draft. He said, he was not asking, what will I do? He said, I'm going to spend 10 minutes, I spend over 2 hours.
Okay, which is also a waste of time.
Waste of my time.
Wasting the customer's time.
Customer's time.
Now, a sensitive sector like the banking sector, is there no policy from the CBN to checkmate things like this, to ensure that customers get the service that they deserve? You save people time. Time is money.
Early this week now, we just got a report because of what is happening now in most banks, that many quality staff have been asked to go for no good reason. I learned that CBN has given out an instruction now that before you sack up to 5 workers at a blow, you must take permission with reason. Okay. So that's a way of checking it down. If this report I'm getting is very correct, it will help you go a long way in making the management of the banks to sit up, not to be sacking anyhow. Because according to our law, a worker cannot, if you are sacked, you cannot say, I won't go. But the only thing that if you are sacked, you must be ready to pay the person you have sacked. A real entitlement. You must be entitled. Because the person who hire can fire. But if you hire and you want to fire, you must be ready to pay. Unlike the public sector, whereby before you are sacked, their appointment has statutory flavor, whereby you have to follow procedures. If the procedure is not followed, the person will go to court and the thing will be set aside. But that a banker or a company in the private sector, you can sack. But if you are to sack, you must be ready to pay.
Okay.
That's just.
All right, if you just joined us, it's Talking Business on ITV, and we're looking at the banking sector. We'll take a break and return for more discussions. Thank you for staying with us. It's still discussion on the banking sector. We're looking at the policies there and how they affect operations, business operations, and of course, even individual operations. So, Mr. Badru, the CBN has come out to say that customers who operate domiciliary accounts can deposit dollars into their domiciliary account, but they're not allowed to transfer it to another party. Is that an issue? Is that a problem in itself?
Well, it is based on the financial and economic implications or policies of CBN, because the CBN have been has been taking measures to ensure that our foreign currency is stabilized, and that to make sure that we continue to maintain a stable foreign currency regime. And the purpose now is that if you deposit cash, you cannot now start transferring it. You can, if you want to withdraw, there's still an amount you can withdraw. You are guided, and then if the amount is excessive, they may want to know what you want to use it for. So the purpose of this is to make sure that our foreign currency is not heavily depleted overnight. They want to monitor it, they want to look at it to know how it's faring, so that most of these measures they launch out or they give is to look to see how to quickly check any untold occurrences in the financial system. So I am of the strong opinion that CBN, they are doing it, though it's not convenient to the customers, because the customer, they are the owner of their money. They should not be told how to withdraw or what to do. They should be able to be allowed to transfer. But CBN will not look at it like that. They will look at the global national interest to ensure that our foreign currency is not heavily depleted. Like we said earlier on, the foreign reserve, $41.5 billion in 2018, it has now reduced to $38.07 billion. So they are concerned. They want to ensure that they are on top of this management of our foreign currency.
Okay, but the CBN also gave the option, if you want to make transfer from your domiciliary account to another party, you can do that via e-transfer. Now, is that not a problem? Are there charges that may be more than what you would be charged if you were to withdraw and then transfer cash to another account? Now, if you do that electronically, is it difficult? Are there extra charges that you will be charged for?
If you are doing an electronic transfer, definitely there are going to be charges. There will be charges. But if you are doing a cash withdrawal, there will be no charges. It's your money, you want to withdraw your money. But if it is from a current account, say we have savings foreign currency account and a current account foreign currency. So if it is a current account, there will be a turnover. There will be little charges. There will be some charges for maintenance and the like. The more you will do it. So if it is transfer, there are charges attached to it.
Okay. Now, like we say, operating Naira accounts, if you want to make
transfer. And we also encourage you to have a foreign currency card denominated in dollars.
Okay, so you can easily do your e-transfers. Okay, but like we see, operating the Naira account, when you make a transfer, e-transfer, there are limits. Unlike when you want to pay amount of money into another account, there's really no limits. Okay, so that limit, would that not affect the customer? Let's say you want to make business transaction and you are supposed to pay a certain amount of money to your business partner, and there's a limit. That causes a problem and slows business.
It has always been a problem, but Nigerians are very fast. What some people do now is to open more than one account. They can have 2, 3 accounts. So that when you say the limit is $50,000, and they can now spread the money to 4, 5 accounts, then they can be able to go beyond $50,000 because they have 2, 3, 4, 5 accounts bearing different names, but they are the person operating it.
But is that not encouraging people to engage in sharp practices? Why not take off the limits?
If they take off the limits, it may affect the proper preservation of the foreign currency. It will affect our foreign currency holding, because people will want, it will encourage laxity. If you want to send something from abroad now, you need to transfer money there. Then it's another way of people now passing through electronic transfer to quickly get something from abroad without passing through the necessary, filling the necessary form and all those things. Yes. So that is why there's all this control to ensure that there should be a limit to that. And if you are going beyond that, it will affect the economy, our foreign currency holding, which they are trying to manage. I know Nigerians can take undue advantage of this thing. I have just told you now what they are now doing. They open different accounts in different names.
Because they feel they are limited.
They are limited. They are limited. But every human being must be subject to one control or the other. If we are not controlled, you know, some people will abuse the freedom.
So with all these controls, what then is the benefit of having a domiciliary account?
There are a lot of benefit. The benefit of having an account, like me, I have a foreign currency domiciliary account. And when my daughter was outside the country, I just go to my foreign currency domiciliary account. I go to my foreign currency domiciliary account and now transfer from that account easily without applying to for banks to help me to get foreign currency. I'll be forced to be filling form, giving one reason or the other. I just mention my account, quote the account number, the amount. It's my account, it's my money. So it is very easy. It makes it easier. Even when you go to bank, they will ask you, do you have foreign currency domiciliary account? They say they will be happy. But if you don't have now, they will now to fill form. It will involve approval. All those things. So you are relaxed if you have your own account.
But isn't it expensive operating a domiciliary account?
It's not expensive if it is savings.
The opening.
If it is savings.
And then the operation.
Most banks, some will say minimum of $100. At times it used to be $10.
Okay, to open a domiciliary account. So what about the operation cost, the charges?
The operation cost, what I observe from my own account, if it is a savings account, they don't take anything.
Okay. The money is just intact.
It's just intact. I will go and look at it. It's still intact. But if it is a current account, you are using check or denominated foreign currency card, so at times they take little.
Okay.
They will take it.
So it's almost the same way the Naira account has been run.
Yes.
All right, thank you for being there. We've been talking about the banking sector, assessing policy issues. Okay, quickly, a recent development happened where NEC, talking about the Nigeria Electricity Regulation Commission, placing limit on estimated billing by DISCOs. Do you think that would be good for both the DISCOs and business people, or is it a one-way thing? It's just win for one side? What do you think?
I think it's a win-win situation. To the customers, it will help them not to get satisfaction for what they are being supplied, the electricity they are being supplied. The reason, because they are now saying now that if you do not provide a meter, you must not charge above 1,800 naira. Whereas you see some people having a room and a parlor, they are paying 10,000, 15,000.
That 1,850 naira, is it across board?
Across board.
Or it's just an example?
Flat. So this will force the DISCO now to quickly release meter. If you go to some of their offices, you see heaps of meters, and they are not giving it out. They don't want to give, because once they give it out now, when they reach your house, you have the meter, they see it's prepaid meter. What they can only ask, they can only see the last time you pay to see whether you have bypassed or not. But now, what they are now saying that if you refuse to provide that meter, you must not charge above 1,800. So many of them now, they want to give meters now. They want to give meters now, but at a very cutthroat price. I think somebody is mentioning 30-something thousand, 38,000.
So what would that be the benefit for the DISCOs if every customer is metered?
If every person has a meter, the benefit to DISCO, it will discourage people getting light without paying for it.
Okay.
Because they will be able to, they have number, they have their records, they have everything. They will be able to monitor them, ensure that they can be able to budget. Because in most cases, they are budgeting based on estimated revenue. Okay. The revenue they are expecting from estimated billing. But now, they will be very sure that if they are supplying light, what I observe now as a prepaid, I have a prepaid meter, and what I observe that when they don't bring light, you see that my credit will still be there. When they bring light, my credit will be reducing. When they bring sufficient light almost throughout the day, I see my credit going down.
Okay, so it's pay as you go.
Pay as you go. So you now be forced to go and buy
Okay.
Buy more, buy 3,000, buy 5,000, so you'll be enjoying. So it will be beneficial to them and it will be beneficial to you. You are enjoying light throughout, and these people are getting money for the light they are supplying. But what is happening is that because they are not able to supply light to everybody, they prefer estimated bill. Even though you don't get light, at the end of the month you must pay. If you don't pay, because they are monopoly, unlike in advanced countries whereby they supply you light, you are not satisfied with their services, you can switch over to another operator. But in Nigeria, just one.
Okay.
You are tired, so now you have to go for solar.
Okay.
So that is the reason. So it's a win-win affair.
Okay. Now, while we're hoping that the schools will up their game so that they can take advantage of metering every customer, so that the issue of electricity theft will not be there anymore, but would also bring over in our next edition the PRO of Benin Electricity Distribution Company to clarify on the position of NEC. That's 1,850 naira for every customer. Is it flat rate, or are there other issues to it that customers need to understand, so that when they go over to give out bills and are asking customers to pay, we don't see a situation where there are protests, there are fights, everybody understands what they are to pay and what they are to collect. Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Badru, for coming on the show. We just had to talk about that recent development, because power is key to having your business run. Even as a residential customer, you need power to live comfortably in your house. Very important. All right, while we hope to see our banking sector improve, while we hope to see improved services, you don't want to get to the bank and then the person who's supposed to attend to you is asking you for instruction on what to do.
What can I do?
And we also ask that the CBN move into that, which you also mentioned, that there's a policy before you fire more than 5 staff at once from any bank.
Permission.
You must take permission from the CBN.
Yeah, with reasons.
Okay. Okay, so we want to feel like the CBN has our back as customers. Thank you again, Mr. Badru, for coming on the show. And that's it on Business Roundup, Business This Week. Today, I am Blessing Aiche. Join me again next week for another edition. Bye.
This is ITV, certainly the best.